Before moving on to the story called The Curse of the Treasure of Gold, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you. Have a good time. In the desolate wilderness of Alaska, four friends Michael, Sarah, Ethan, and Lily set out on a quest for gold after discovering an old treasure map in a dusty attic. The map hinted at a long-lost treasure buried deep within a dense, eerie forest. With excitement in their hearts and gear in tow, they embarked on their adventure, unaware of the dark forces lurking in the shadows. After a long day of hiking, they arrived at their destination as dusk began to settle. They quickly set up camp, the flickering flames of their campfire illuminating the surrounding trees. Nearby villagers, curious but cautious, watched them from a distance, believing them to be mere campers. As night fell, they began their search with metal detectors, the thrill of the unknown fueling their determination. Hours passed, and suddenly, Michael's detector beeped excitedly, signaling the presence of gold. The friends gathered around, their hearts racing with anticipation. They decided that while two of them stayed to guard the site, the other two would fetch the remaining camping gear. As the clock struck midnight, an unexpected wave of fatigue washed over them, prompting a short break. They settled on the ground, sipping coffee, hoping to recharge for the digging ahead. As they resumed, the ground felt unusually heavy, as if some unseen weight pressed down upon them. Just then, a child's voice echoed through the trees, sending shivers down their spines. They exchanged uneasy glances, but brushed it off, convincing themselves it was just their minds playing tricks. With determination, they began to dig, feeling the promise of wealth within their grasp. After a brief rest, they decided to return to the camp for the night. The atmosphere was thick with tension, as they could still hear the eerie sounds of laughter and crying in the background. Sleep eluded them, as dreams turned into nightmares, haunted by the child's voice. In the morning, they resolved to continue digging, crafting a plan to cover their tracks should anyone from the village inquire about their activities. While preparing breakfast, an elderly woman approached their campsite. Her face was weathered and ancient, her gaze penetrating. "What brings you young ones to these woods?" she asked, her voice rasping like dry leaves. Michael replied, "We're nature lovers, just camping for a few days." The old woman nodded, cautioning them, "Beware the forest, it has eyes." Ignoring her warning, the friends continued their excavation. As they dug deeper, they felt the atmosphere shift, a growing sense of dread enveloping them. Exhausted but resolute, they pushed forward, driven by greed. With each swing of the shovel, the echoes of a child's laughter grew louder, enveloping them in a chilling embrace. By mid-afternoon, they struck something hard. It was a large, stone chest, its surface covered in strange markings. Excited, they pried it open, revealing a trove of glistening gold. But as they celebrated, they were struck by an overwhelming sense of dread, the laughter and crying intensifying, wrapping around them like a suffocating fog. Suddenly, a giant serpent burst from the ground, sinking its fangs into Ethan. In a flash of panic, Lily struck the serpent down, but the damage was done. Ethan collapsed, convulsing before their eyes. They were too late to save him. Paralyzed by grief and fear, the remaining friends felt the forest closing in around them. The child's laughter morphed into a sinister cackle, echoing through the trees. Desperate to escape, they gathered the gold and fled to their vehicle. But the forest seemed alive, twisting their path and trapping them within its depths. They realized their mistake. Taking the treasure had awakened a malevolent spirit. As they fought their way through the underbrush, they caught glimpses of shadowy figures watching them from afar, whispering words in a language they couldn't comprehend. Finally reaching the car, they frantically drove towards safety, but their surroundings morphed into a nightmare. Their minds unraveling, Michael turned to Lily, who was now staring blankly ahead, unresponsive. "Lily, are you okay?" he shouted, but she merely muttered about the children lost in the woods. In a final bid for escape, they called for help, but the connection fizzled. National news picked up their story as they were reported missing. As rescue teams combed the area, the remaining friends found themselves drawn back to the forest, unable to escape its pull. The once close-knit group splintered under the weight of their experiences. Lily disappeared one night, and Michael and Sarah were left to grapple with the horrors they had unleashed. They found the old woman again, but she was not as they remembered. Her eyes now glowed with the light of the damned. As the sun dipped below the horizon, a rescue team discovered the campsite, only to find the treasures buried deep in the ground untouched, but surrounded by the whispers of the lost. Michael and Sarah were found, eyes wide with terror, wondering about the woman and the children. But it was too late. The forest had claimed them. Months later, the forest still whispered secrets, luring in the curious and the greedy. Michael, now a shadow of his former self, found himself locked away in a mental institution, repeating a haunting mantra. She said she would come for me. The legacy of the golden treasure and the restless spirits within the woods continued, waiting for the next unsuspecting group to claim it.